我が心と行動に一点の曇りなし。すべてが正義だ。ドジャーンドジャーンドジャーン、一体何のつもりなんだ。遺体はこのバレンタインのことを好いてくれて。
Greetings, everyone. Without further ado, I gotta bring in my friend, my colleague, one of the best out there to do it. How's it going, Carl?
How are you, Rasheed? Long time no see. It's good to talk to you again.
I'm doing real good, and I hope your in-laws had a good time. And I have to say this to you. Please give a shout out to my mom. Her name is Barbara, and my daughter, whose name is Kalia. They love you every time you come on the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Rasheed's mom. Thank you, Rasheed's family. I was busy last few weeks because I just had a newborn son. So I have been busy changing diapers, and I'm very glad to have this opportunity to take a break from my diaper changing duties.
Well, I'm glad to have you back, Carl. Carl, I wanted to ask you something, but then right before the show started, I saw an article that goes right along with what I wanted to ask you, because it has to do with this thing that just took place in the United States with Trump. And I haven't made any comments about it because I couldn't make heads or tails on the situation myself. And I don't like to comment on things that I have no insight on. But there's an article that came out on RT, and the title of the article is, and this comes from the U.S. spokesman. He says that it's from the State Department spokesman. He says, U.S. claims Russia threatened by democracy. And the reason I wanted to preference what I wanted to say with that is because let us not forget the hanging chads in Florida during the election, or the dispute in Ohio over votes in Ohio, and this recent dispute between Trump and Biden about who was the true elected president. And then when we look at that, we also have to bring to mind that if you speak about the dispute on the elections, you get deplatformed, censored, and everything else. So all of this is going on. Why is America pointing the finger at everybody else about being fearful of democracy when the whole world is watching and seeing that they are fearful of Trump, and they're fearful of any person elected outside of the so-called normal way?
I mean, by now, do people still take U.S. accusations seriously? I mean, look at the U.S. electoral process. All we got to choose is we have to choose between Biden or Trump. Are you kidding me? What a great choices we have. And, we got to talk about assassination because it just happened. And this kind of thing, I just can't imagine this happened in Russia, right? Because I just can't picture this happen in either Russia or China or Iran. I mean, the assassination is a very uniquely American political culture. And there's a lot of questions remain to be answered. When I first heard about the news about the assassination, my immediate gut feeling was, okay, this couldn't have been a deep state. This couldn't have been a deep state planned operation, because if the deep state wanted Trump dead, he will be dead. Mm-hmm. But after reviewing footages and reading everyone's commentary, now I'm not sure, because Trump got nick in the ear. We're like 1 centimeter away from like a major breakdown in the political process in the United States. I mean, the only reason that it would nick the ear is because Trump turned his head at the last minute. And if you look at, man, there's so many questions, because you can see the counter snipers on top of the roof just behind Trump. They were looking in the directions of Trump's assassin. It looks like they have at least 45 seconds. They were already aware something is going on, and yet you took the 45 seconds of not doing anything, and they only shot the assassin after the assassin fired. Now,
that's when I left office. That was the lowest point, and that comes right from the government services, comes right out of Border Patrol. Take a look at that. So that arrow is the lowest amount of illegal immigration ever in recorded history into our country. And then the worst president in the history of our country took over. And look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
I heard all kind of commentary. Some people say, oh, it's a rule of engagement. The Secret Service can't shoot until the shooter shoot first. Like, are you freaking kidding me? What's the point of having counter sniper on the roof if you're just gonna let the other guy take the first shot? I mean, these explanation just kind of fly in the face of logic, and then you have how did this guy, this 20-year-old guy, lug a 12-foot ladder, his gun, and 50 rounds of ammunition all the way from his house to the site, to the building just up, and nobody stopped him. He was not stopped at any. Okay, granted, it's a Trump rally, so okay, people will carry guns. But what the hell is he doing with a 12-foot ladder putting up against a building, and nobody said anything? And okay, I try. I usually try to look for reason of incompetence, really, rather than malice, right? Like the adage I like is it's always go for the incompetence explanation rather than the conspiracy theory. So okay. So if it's an incompetence, this is a massive fuck up in the security details. What I understand, there's three layers of security for Trump. The inner layer, those are the people who jump on Trump's body after the shots were fired. Those are Secret Service assigned to him, his personal details. And then there's like the outer layer. Those are the counter snipers on the roof. Their goal is to make sure there's no other assassins. Right. There's no other snipers around going to shoot Trump in the head. And then there's another intermediate layer, usually composed of local law enforcement and local police and SWAT team. Their job is to scope out the site to make sure all possible areas for assassination will be covered. And that is their job. And the sniper guy, the assassin, he was in the line of sight, in plain view of everybody, and people even spotted him, and they even alerted the local police. And for some reason, the local police didn't tell the snipers, the counter snipers, like, hey, shoot that guy, or like shoot a warning shot, whatever. There's a sniper on the roof, and the incompetent. I mean, there's a plausible incompetence explanation is that there's communication failure between the counter sniper, who are part of the Secret Service, and the local police, who are in charge of the perimeter security. And the police who received the information about the assassin on the roof, for some reason, did not communicate to the Secret Service counter sniper on. But what? What? Are you kidding me? You see a sniper, you're not gonna tell those people who are set up to take him out. I mean, like, what do? You at least get Trump off the stage. Okay. People are saying, oh, like, you just can't shoot people because they show up with gun. Okay, I mean, they have a gun in the clear direction of Trump. I mean, okay. So let's say people, Secret Service want to play it safe. You know, they won't shoot until they receive a clear command, but at least clear the stage, get the Trump off the stage. There's some major failures that happen that need to be explained. Why the local police did not communicate to the counter sniper on the roof? As far as I can tell, the counter snipers on the roof are very efficient. You know, after the shot fired, they took out the assassin within few seconds, which also could be very convenient. You know, like because if you look at the CIA handbook, they said there are two type of assassins, right? The one type is a patsy. And one type is a safe assassin. The patsy are there to be killed. You don't want to leave witnesses.
Yeah.
The safe assassin is a professional. You want to extract them after the job is done. Well, the Thomas Cook, or whatever his name is, Thomas Matthew Cook, he's obviously a patsy. I mean, he's obviously a patsy. So it makes sense to get rid of him. You know, right now, all the major media obviously trying to dig up his background story. And then we have nothing. This is a 20-year-old guy with no social media exposure, right? Like he has no TikTok. He has a Discord account, but there's no activity on his Discord. And everything they could, so far, the only thing they dug up is like he made some joke video he made back when he was a sophomore. I guess in high school, he said I had a 10-inch penis.
And 6'4". I go to Stanford University. I have a 10-inch penis.
That's the only thing they can find on this 20-year-old guy. This is 2024. I mean, if CIA wants a patsy, he's a perfect patsy. He has no background history, no nothing. And then I just read the CNN story about how the FBI identified him. And the CNN story says Cook carried no identification on his body. The FBI had to do a DNA scan to do a biometric match. Like, I'm like, wait. How did the FBI have Thomas Matthew Cook's DNA on file before the shooting so they could get a quick DNA match? I mean, either like there's a much more pervasive surveillance state that we're in that we don't know about, that FBI have everybody's bio data, or there's something else going on. Why would they have this 20-year-old kid's DNA on file who has no criminal records, you know, as far as we know? There's a lot of questions to be answered, and then you know, what will happen? What will happen? Well, if the election were held today, you know, Trump will win. We all know that Trump will win for sure. Trump would already won before the shooting. You know, Biden was already on his way to lose. But after the shooting, we now know Trump will for sure win if the election were held today. But there's still 4 months to the election, and in U.S. election cycles, 4 months is an eternity. A lot could happen in those 4 months. And if the deep state really want him dead, they can try again. I mean, there's nothing to stop them from trying again. If this was really a failure, accident, when you know, because by sheer dumb luck, Trump turned his head, got nick in the ear. I mean, it's conceivable that they could try again. And even if it's not planned by deep state, there's also a risk of copycats, right? You know, because now this is a major story. There's always going to be some radicals, some fanatics who see that and want you know, get their 15 minutes of fame. So Trump has to survive this 4 months, first of all, and then you know, we don't really know what's going to happen after 4 months, because as you know, like the media treat Americans like they have the memory of a gnat. You know, but sometimes it's true. Sometimes it's true. Like if you look at George Bush election, George Bush Sr. back in the early 1990s, he won the Gulf War. He won bigly. And there was like a lot of popular support. I remember I was in elementary school. I was 8th grade in Robert Healy Elementary School in Chicago. There's like support the troop posters everywhere, and it was a great moment when U.S. won the Gulf War, and George Bush Sr. was looking to have another term, and then 4 months later, then a few months later, Ross Perot happened. Took the vote away, and then that made Clinton in office. So a lot of things can happen in 4 months, and so I'm given all this happened in United States, you think U.S. has a moral authority to lecture Russia on the democratic process? Are you kidding me? And I mean, like, what would happen if that shooting just succeeded? What happened if Trump didn't turn his head? What you're gonna have is the establishment Republicans. They're gonna pop up some bogus establishment candidate like Nikki Haley, right? And then Biden might win, and then Biden is gonna win the election. That's what would have happened. And so this is how fragile the American electoral process is, and it has no moral high ground. It has no qualification or credibility to lecture Russia or China or anybody else. But I also like to still go back to the Trump assassination, because right after it happened, New York Post straight away blamed the Chinese. The first published report that said the shooter was identified as Chinese. I mean, they didn't even say Asian. It clear, like they didn't even know what the shooter's name was, but they already know it's a Chinese guy. And I knew that was bogus, because if my people did it, if it's the East Asian people did it, dude, they would have got the job done, man. It would be over. Because if you look at what happened to Shinzo Abe. Like the Japanese bro, he just made some doohickey gun at home, and he got the job done. And I know all my East Asian friends, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, all the ones who are gun nuts, they take their training seriously. They go to range religiously. They take all kind of classes. They're training like they're training for SAT. If it's an East Asian person, if it's a Chinese, I'm sorry. Like, Trump would be a goner, man. You'll be done. But so I knew that was bullshit right away. But a lot of people were reposting the New York Post article like within minutes of this happened. And then what New York Post did was they tried to do a sneaky edit, like hour and 40 minutes, hour and a half after they went back to their website, edited to say that the shooter was identified as white male, but there was no, like, they didn't say issue a correction or anything. And we only know this today now because it's still listed. The original report was still on the Internet Archive. So what happened is all these people, like AKA like Gordon Chan, the usual suspect, and reposting the New York Post original article, they get like a community note on X saying, oh, the New York Post article actually says the shooter was identified as white male. Like, because this is the kind of thing happened to you in U.S. The first instinct is to blame the Chinese. It got to be the Chinese. But why would the Chinese have any incentive to kill Trump?
Right.
Why would Chinese care Biden getting into the office? How is Biden better for China than Trump? This is only American would think that way, because Trump, the one who started sanction on China, Biden doubled down on the sanction, made it much worse. So why would Chinese prefer either one? Trump, as far as Chinese is concerned, pox on both their houses. Why would they care for Biden? I mean, that's just okay. Anyway, that's my rant about that stupid New York Post article about shooter being Chinese. But there's a lot of questions remain to be answered. We know there's like so many ways the U.S. election can be gained. Assassination just being one of them. So U.S. has no moral authority to speak on this matter, to lecture anybody in the world about democracy, about the democratic process. Russia has elections. Iran has elections, right? I mean, like, it just happens that we don't like their government. The U.S. government do not like their government because they want regime change. So this is the difference between Democrats, the difference between liberals and people like Trump is, at least Trump is honest. Trump is very honest about the intentions of American empire. We're going to take the oil. We're going to go there and take the oil, right? I mean, like, it's an emperor has no closed moment. This is why all the establishment, deep state people hate him, because he reveals the emperor has no clothes. They want to cloak all their, the U.S. empire activity under the cloak of promoting democracy abroad, to promote freedom. But we know that's all bullshit. And so sorry for ranting. Cut me anytime, Rasheed.
I often think about what a detective would do when they're trying to solve a crime. Is motive, opportunity, and who benefits the most. And then I was listening to an FBI agent, and he was saying that the Secret Service sharpshooters saw the guy before he shot. They saw him, and they still didn't shoot. But I asked a mathematician, what are the odds that a guy would shoot, and at the same time as shooting, the former president would turn his head, and it's astronomical. It's astronomical, the odds of him turning his head and only being nicked. And so I only say that to put that out there. We have, when stuff like this happens, remember that America is Walt Disney. It is a lot of make-believe and smoke and mirrors. So we have to look at every avenue, every venue, and then come out with motive, opportunity, and who benefits the most. And that should lead us down the pathway of finding out who is really behind that and who would use that to benefit. What would you say on that matter?
Yeah, I mean, cui bono? We've got to always ask that question, cui bono, for whose benefit? Well, I mean, Trump definitely benefited from the failed assassination because his rating is going through the roof. But I don't think Trump staged this assassination. I
don't either.
Nobody is gonna say, "Oh, shoot me, just nick me in the ear, just a little bit, nick me in the ear." I'm gonna trust you, your marksmanship, that you're gonna just nick the top of my ear and not my head. Then nobody's gonna do that, and nobody's gonna volunteer to be suicided. To be an assassin who for sure will be taken out right after. So I think we can rule out that possibility. The other possibility, the deep state operation, that's more curious, because, like I said, my first instinct is like, this couldn't be deep state. If the deep state, they will have backup, they will take him out. I mean, you'll be like another JFK situation. We won't find out, even 60 years down the road, everything will be classified. Will be classified. But then I saw the replay. I saw how close he was. He was like, if Trump didn't turn his head, his brain was being blown out, and it was very convenient that, of course, the shooter who have minimum social media exposure will get taken out, straight away. He was taken out straight away after he fired his shot. So we will never know. We will never know for sure his motivations. But it doesn't matter. He's a if this was planned, then he would be a patsy anyway. It's more on like who created the environment where he would be able to access that roof, which should clearly been secure beforehand, because one of the job of the local law enforcement who are responsible for the intermediate circle of security is to scope out all the possible angles of buildings that could hide assassin. And so far, the only explanation I read is the local police SWAT team that was supposed to stake out on that roof of that building decide to go indoors because it's too hot outside on the roof. That was the explanation. I mean, okay, maybe, but that's a major failure, man. Like they just decide to go inside to stay in the shade while leave at least have someone make sure there's no ladder around, man. And if you don't want to go to the roof, at least make sure there's no roof access.
Yeah.
And how did the shooter, the Thomas Matthew Cook, knew that he will be able to have access to that roof? Like he obviously planned out ahead of time. He brought the 12-foot ladder, but how did he knew there would be no security to stop him? There's no he's just gonna be able to comfortably set up. And the other explanation about the counter sniper who spotted him before he shot at Trump and didn't act is that there's some communication failure between the local police and the counter sniper. And so the counter sniper weren't sure if the Thomas Matthew Cook on the roof wasn't part of the local SWAT team who are supposed to be there. But wait a minute. This is what uniform is for. This guy is clearly not in uniform. This guy is, and his hair, his everything does not scream police, SWAT, local police or SWAT team or military, and yet you just let him comfortably set up, take his position, and then clearly aiming for Trump. I mean, that's a little bit hard to believe, but I mean, there's a lot of questions that needs to be answered. It's either a huge failure on the local police law enforcement who are supposed to secure the area and not communicate that clearly to the counter sniper. But that still leaves a question: is how does the assassin himself knew he will have access, and how does FBI have his DNA on file before the shooting? Like how?
Yeah.
Because the only way they could get a DNA match is they already have his DNA sample. Why do they have the DNA sample of this 20-year-old? Does U.S. government just automatically have DNA of everyone already and not telling us? I mean, this is another question that remains to be answered. So, there's a lot. I mean, right now, most of the Donald Trump supporter already believes this is a deep state plan operation. I don't think anything else would dispel that notion. But I agree. There's a lot of questions that needs to be answered, man.
And how did this guy walk through these different security circles when people were telling him that, hey, this guy's walking through and he has a black trench coat on and a rifle, AR-15, and nobody stopped him, checked him, or patted him down. He just walked through the fields to get through each security zone, because when they
and
have
the ladder.
Yes, and the ladder.
And the 12-foot ladder.
He's walking through all of these security zones with a trench coat on in the middle of summer and an AR-15 with him, and nobody stops him. Man, that's crazy.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes we live in the Truman Show, because somebody already pointed out the shooter was featured in a BlackRock commercial. I saw that BlackRock commercial. It was already being pulled out of YouTube, but it still exists now, floating around. Somebody downloaded it. Now it's floating around on X. People are posting that video.
My name is Brian DeLallo. I teach AP and Honors Economics in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Financial well-being to me is knowing that I can be free to do the things that I love to do. I hope when I retire someday, they say, that guy made this place a special place to come to school and gave as much as he could to help the community.
So why was he in the BlackRock commercial? And everything is connected, because I just saw on X J.D. Vance and Vivek, both of those people were on the 2003 Hardball show on MSNBC, fielding questions to not J.D. Vance, I'm sorry, Pete Buttigieg. Pete Buttigieg. Him and Vivek were both on the Hardball show on MSNBC in 2003, fielding questions to the U.S. presidential candidate.
All we're waiting for on our program right now. This is not the first time that you've been on Hardball in a live event. In fact, many years ago, you asked a question of a presidential candidate who visited your college, Harvard. Here you were back in 2003 asking Dick Gephardt about young voters.
Congressman, why are you the only presidential candidate not attending tomorrow's youth-oriented Rock the Vote Forum? And do you think young people's votes matter in your campaign?
They matter a lot. That's why I'm here tonight. And I've got to be in Iowa. I had a preset meeting that I've got to go to. I got to win Iowa. I'm going to win Iowa, so I'm going to be in Iowa tomorrow night. But I talk to young people everywhere I am. I've got lots of young people on my campaign, and maybe I ought to say this now. When I was in college, Jack Kennedy was president. And I was moved when he said to young people like me, get involved in politics. Give part of your life to politics. So I just want to say to all of you here, get involved in public life. Give back to your country. Don't just take from it. And get involved in this campaign. If it's not for me, get behind somebody and get out there and work and make this country a better place. You can do this.
So it's interesting to note, as Nikki Haley called Vivek Ramaswamy naive in that clip and inexperienced, he's making a virtue of that, the fact that he is a Washington outsider. Well, there was a clip circulating on social media of a 2003 presidential town hall on MSNBC's Hardball with Chris Matthews with one Reverend Al Sharpton, who was running for president in 2004 campaign, questioned by a young student about his experience. That student, Vivek Ramaswamy.
Good. Let's get to my question here. Go ahead.
Reverend Sharpton, hello. I'm Vivek, and I want to ask you, last week on the show we had Senator Kerry, and this week and the week before we had Senator Edwards. And my question for you is, of all the Democratic candidates out there, why should I vote for the one with the least political experience?
Well, you shouldn't, because I have the most political experience. I got involved in the political movement when I was 12 years old. And I've been involved in social policy for the last 30 years. So don't confuse people that have a job with political experience. Whoever the head of some local bureaucracy has a job in Cambridge, that doesn't mean that they have political experience, and it doesn't mean they have the experience to run the United States government. So I think that we confuse title holders with political experience, as we have seen with the present occupant in the White House. George Bush was a governor and clearly has shown he doesn't have political experience.
That was 20 years ago, October of 2003. John, yes, fascinating that it was Vivek Ramaswamy, but also Rev on his feet.
So it's almost like these people have been chosen, 20 years ago, like way before our time. Somehow these people are already being groomed and picked. And then this ties into why this shooter guy, was also featured in the BlackRock commercial. Yet we can barely find any social media presence of this person. So far the content they picked up is like 2 years old, back when he was a sophomore. I can joke about his 10-inch penis, and that's the only thing they could find. 20-year-old guy in 2023, no social media presence. I mean, this guy is a perfect patsy. Perfect patsy. You can't. And of course, his roommate, his classmates also. Oh, he's a loner, so we don't really know him. He was bullied relentlessly. I mean, it fits a perfect. They can pass it off as the standard issue school shooter type of guy, right? I mean, itself is kind of fucked up, to say U.S. have a standard issue school shooter type of dude. I mean, this is only in the USA. No other country will say, "Oh, we have the standard issue school shooting situation here." USA is a uniquely violent society. Okay, we already know that, but why wasn't he taken out? If Thomas Matthew Cook had been any other color, if he had been brown or black, dude, this wouldn't be a story. He would be done. He was taken out a long time ago, right? I mean, but they're like, oh, wait, hold up. He's not black. He's one of us, and he has a gun. He's one of us. I mean, like, there's a lot of questions to be answered, man. A lot of questions.
Now let's switch over to what's going on in the Middle East.